Welcome. I'm Nora Alamazan, and today I am in the now Habersham studio with an amazing person who is going to talk to us about disabilities and the life of someone who has a disability and what she plans to do to make that a little easier. Now we're talking with Emily Herrin. And Emily, just so you know a little background, she used to be a teacher. And then she and her husband owns the Jack Bradley Agency, but she and her husband opened up a venue called Common Ground. I've used it myself. It's wonderful. It's an older building in Cornelia. I've used it for baby showers and political events and parties and things like that. And but she has started a 501c3 called Price to Play. And first of all, I want to know, how did you get that name?
Yes, thank you for having me here today. I'm excited to talk to you about Price to Play. So we have 3 children, one of which is named Price. And Price presented us with an opportunity that the other 2 did not. From a very early age, he seemed to have a hard time with things that our firstborn never had a hard time with. And everybody told me that I was crazy. He'll be fine. Just wait it out. Time will come and everything will be okay. He didn't talk early. He had a hard time regulating his emotions. And those are just 2 of the things. So we got started really early on because in my gut, I just felt like he needed some help. And we went to our pediatrician and I begged her to give us referrals to get speech and a few other referrals to go to some therapists and specialists and things. So after some time, we had him diagnosed with a developmental delay. And along with that, we started therapies, speech therapy, occupational therapy, and a few others. And through that journey, we kind of figured out that his needs were a little bit different than our other kids. And that was where the idea came from to start. We didn't really know we wanted to do a nonprofit at the time. I just wanted to build him a playground.
And so his name is Price.
Yes.
And he is now 7.
7.
Tell me about your other 2 children.
So we also have a 10-year-old little boy named Hampton and a 2-year-old little girl named Bennett. They could not be any more different. All 3 of them are so very different. They're their own little people. And, you know, like I said, they've all given us an opportunity to learn something different. But it's wonderful. They're all great.
And isn't that incredible? Because when you have children, you really, first of all, you think they're going to be just like you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry if you're expecting your first and you're thinking that it doesn't happen. They're not just like you, but they come as their own little personalities, their own issues, everything. And then you have your second one. Oh, he'll be just like Hampton, right?
Yep.
And it's not like that at all.
There has never been a truer statement made. They are their own whole being from the very beginning.
And how were you? I mean, when you found out that Price did have issues, and that's hard.
It is hard. And I feel thankful at this point in my life, but it's hard. It's really hard. And you have hopes and you have dreams and you have fears, and they all come to a very strong fruition when you realize that your child may struggle. Mm-hmm. Our firstborn is very intelligent academically. He was reading by the time he was 4, could speak like an attorney when he was 3. And then along came this other little guy who is just a ball of emotions and strong will. And he's totally capable in a lot of ways, more so even than our firstborn, like physically capable. But he couldn't get words out. And it just hurt. It's painful and it's scary. And in a lot of ways, you just want to kind of just hope it away, like wish it away. But I'm a Christian, and I kind of came to the realization through time and encouragement from others, and prayer and Bible study that God created him
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe that God makes mistakes.
No, I was just about to say that.
So he does have, he has had a hard time, which gave us a hard time.
Sure.
And cost lots of money and lots of time. But at 7, he is blossoming and he's thriving. And because of that, now I think I have an opportunity to do something good for other families and kids who have similar struggles.
So what's it like when you go to playgrounds or when you were in your school or and seeing children who are challenged, who do have disabilities, whether it's physical or mental, and to watch them not be able to play like other kids?
So I was an art teacher. So I never really came into that situation as a teacher. But the whole reason that this started is when we started therapy with Bryce, he would not participate. He would not do it. He would hide under the table. He would cover his ears. He was 2 at the time, 2 to 3. And so we went through almost a year of therapy. And one day we come into the therapy room and the therapist had been cleaning out her closets. And she's like, "I'm so sorry. I lost track of time. Please pardon this mess." We go in and he locks eyes on this box. It's a box full of yard sale trains, just a bunch of random trains. And he went to that box of trains and it opened a whole new world for us. He started participating. He started engaging, complying, all things that he had never done before in therapy. And so it kind of made something click in my brain. So as a teacher, and I experienced kids with special needs, it never occurred to me that they needed something different to play. You don't think about it, I think, until you're presented with the opportunity to see okay, this is totally different. This play with these trains is doing something in his brain, in his heart, in his mind, in his spirit that is going to give him an opportunity to learn, to open up. And that's when it occurred to me. It never occurred to me as a teacher. And that's sad. I have a master's degree in early childhood education. And I had a heart for kids. I loved them. I tried to differentiate. I tried to provide opportunities for all of my kids because I was an art teacher. Mm-hmm. It was easy.
Exactly.
You can do things. It never occurred to me that there were limitations. But that day, I called my husband as soon as we left. I was crying. I was in tears.
I bet you were.
We went to Walmart immediately and bought a huge Thomas the Train set. I called everybody I know and was like, "Any trains you have, I want them." I got on Facebook Marketplace. I bought trains from strangers and parking lots. And that day I said, I want to build this kid a train themed playground because we would go to the playground and he couldn't get comfortable. It wasn't like he was terrified or incapable because physically he was capable. But in his mind, he never felt safe on a swing. He didn't like to swing. He didn't like to do the monkey bars. The only thing he liked was, I called it the bumpy slide. Well, now I know it was a sensory slide. And that slide was giving him sensory feedback that I never would have thought about. I just thought it was just bumpy and fun. That was the only thing he wanted to do on the regular playground was the bumpy slide.
And that's the slide that has the little humps in it as they slide down.
Yep.
That is so interesting.
Yes. So that day I thought, I'm going to build this child a train playground. And that's where this all started.
Wow. I love that. And it is not, your endeavor is huge. Mm-hmm. What you're wanting for other children to experience is huge. I know that I have an autistic sister. She's 47 years old and she lives with me. And I know that when we go to the park or things like that, it is extremely difficult. Now she can walk, but it's a struggle. Mm-hmm. It's not like, a normal kind of gait. And so when there are things, there are holes or there's steps or there are things to get to, it's hard. We have to help her. And she loves to swing. Oh my gosh. She loves that back and forth
that vestibular response.
Yep. And she loves it. But getting to the swings,
it's hard.
It's a journey. And so I know that is one of the avenues that you are working on for the Demarest Park, right?
Yes. So this has been a journey and I've done a lot of research and actually went to Minnesota last summer to the place where they make and manufacture these specific playgrounds, the company that we're going to be using. It's called Landscape Structures. And one of the things that is needed for a playground to be considered inclusive for abilities is the rubber surfacing.
Now, is that like what's on the track that you sometimes see at a high school? Is that kind of that
I'm not sure.
mat?
It's maybe. I'm sure they probably use different ones. This specific material is made out of recycled tires.
Okay.
And it can be any color. You can do patterns. You can do anything, but it provides that flat level surface so that people with gait issues, people in wheelchairs, any kind of mobility issues, it makes it easier for them and a little bit less dangerous than, just bark or gravel. Because if they did take a tumble, it's not going to harm them like the other would.
Now, I've seen it underneath swing sets and things like that, but it is your idea to spread it out, right?
I can't take full credit for it because it's been done before, but yes, I'd like to use as much of it as possible to create an opportunity for these kids to get to the equipment they want to play on.
But it's not cheap.
It's not cheap. It is not cheap. The Demarest playground, I don't have the exact square footage right now, but the estimate that we were given for the surfacing area that we needed was a little over $200,000.
Wow.
And the one we're going to be building in Cornelia will likely be more because it's bigger.
Mm-hmm. And the Lord has definitely answered your prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about your grant that you recently received.
So the Georgia Department of Natural Resources and the Environmental Protection Division, through that organization or division, whatever you would want to call it, through the state of Georgia, provides a grant specifically for the rubber tire surfacing. We have not applied for it in Cornelia yet because you have to be at a certain point in your project to apply for it. We did apply for it in Demarest and we received $159 and some odd dollars. It's $159,000.
That's amazing.
Towards that. So yes, it's wonderful. Helps a lot.
And so once you know, then if it's going to be $200,000 for Demarest, then you've got some room there, but you have gotten substantially the amount that you need, which is huge. Mm-hmm. How hard was it to apply for this grant?
Thankfully, Demarest has been really wonderful as a city. They have a grant writer who helped, and that was pivotal because I'm a mom and a business owner, and grant writing is a lot. So we kind of worked together to find the grant, and then he helped me get that into motion. So, but it wasn't easy, and it's competitive. So we're really thankful that we got it.
I love that. Do you know how long it'll be before you're able to start that? Do you need to have all the funds first?
So with landscape structures, they require half up front, mm-hmm. and then you can pay for the rest as it goes. A lot of it, with it being cities, it depends on timing with the grading and bidding and things like that. And I try to be involved in all of that as much as I can, but it's kind of out of my hands in a lot of ways. So my focus is really the designing, the advocacy, and the fundraising.
What are you looking for fundraising? Like, are you going to do, hot dog sales, or what are you looking for?
So right now, at this point, our goals are very large. And I want to do fundraising events at some point, but my first goal is to start with some corporate funding. The Demarest playground, not including the surfacing, is going to run about $800,000.
That is incredible.
The Cornelia playground is going to run about $1.2 million.
Wow.
So, as much as I want to do some community fundraising events, my hope is to approach large businesses in our area and get some corporate sponsorship before we do anything else, because if we do small things, it could take us years.
Sure.
And I don't believe that we have time to spare for this. I think it needs to be done as soon as possible. There's a need, and I don't think it can wait for years.
Okay, so you've got resurfacing going on, but you're also going to be getting some equipment.
Yes.
Right. And what types of equipment And I know that it's expensive. I know that handicapped, and I don't know if that's really the term for it now, but equipment for people who are challenged and
accessible.
Yeah.
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 So part of this is kind of going back and forth, but part of my goal in our Price to Play organization is threefold. I want to provide a place for people, for kids with different abilities to play, but I also want to get every kid outside. I want to get them outside, off screens, in nature, in their community, and I also want to get them playing together. I don't want it to be a separate thing. So every piece of equipment will not be accessible. I don't want it to have a stigma, and I don't want people to feel like it's a division. I want every single kid to want to play on these playgrounds. So there will be inclusive equipment, and there will be regular everyday equipment. It's going to be a mixture. There will be swings that provide core support for kids who don't have the strength or the ability to hold themselves up. There will be zip lines with the core support.
Oh, wow.
There will be slides. There will be climbing towers. There will be climbing structures, rope structures. The Demarest playground is less of a theme. It's more of a fluid theme. It's going to have music and colors and nature. But the Cornelia playground has a specific theme, and it is trains.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So, because Cornelia is a train town.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
And, the whole point of this was the train playground, and it kind of fits beautifully. So the Cornelia playground will have a few custom pieces that are nowhere else in the world. They're specifically made for Cornelia. One of them will be a train climbing structure with a sensory tunnel. It'll have other pieces too, but that will be the main part. There will be a rope climbing structure that's reminiscent of the Tallulah Falls Railroad trestle bridge. We're hoping to do a spiral climbing structure that's fashioned after the water tower. And then there will be swings and rolly slides and other things too that are more generic, but we want it to be really impactful. And then the Demarest one, we really loved the idea of music, because that's a really important part of a sensory experience for a lot of kids. So it's going to have like a flow to it. There will be chimes and drums and all kinds of things, but the structures for that one are going to be wonderful.
Well, it backs up right to Piedmont University's conservatory, right?
Yes.
Oh, that is really neat. And I wish those of you who are listening right now could just feel the passion and the emotion that is coming from Emily. It's really from your heart.
I thank you for saying that, but it really is. It really is. There is there's a need for this, and I really it almost makes me emotional every time I talk about it.
I'm tearing up because I can feel the love that you have from your struggles, for all kids, for all people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I wrote a few stats down here because I don't think people realize, and even as somebody who comes from education, you don't really realize. In Habersham County, there are 1,200 students that are served with special needs. That's just intellectual. That's not disabilities. In the U.S., there are 15% of the students. That's around 7.5 million kids who have some sort of intellectual disability. 1 in 6 children have a developmental disability. 1 in 9 kids have ADHD. 1 in 36 kids have autism. That's a big deal. And
hearing those numbers, wow.
Yeah.
It really puts it into perspective, doesn't it?
It does. And, regardless of what you believe or think about the political realm or the last few years, the numbers are higher now. Kids got held out of schools and closed up in their homes. And even more so after 2020. There was a 9.4% increase in kids with developmental delays or intellectual issues from 2020 to now. And then when you look at the other side of it, the physical disabilities, kids with physical issues, with movement issues, there are 62 million kids in the United States under the age of 10 who have some sort of physical disability. And when you think about it, you don't see places for them to play.
No, that those people are being excluded and they shouldn't be.
And I don't necessarily think that it's malicious.
No.
I think it is because people just don't know
Right.
until it hits them. They
Until
just
it hits
don't know.
home, until it happens to you.
And it's one of those things where, oh, you can ignore it. Oh, you cannot think about it. But I have a friend who is doing a similar thing in Hall County. And she told me one time that every single person is potentially a minute away from a disability. Anything could happen to anybody at any time that could lead to a physical disability. And I don't think that we should take that for granted. And so that's why I'm really passionate about this, because these kids didn't ask for this. And their life is going to have challenges and hardships no matter what. So I believe and I feel that if I can do something to help them, that I want to.
And so if you're listening out there and you could be a corporate sponsor, tell me what they need to do. How do they get in touch with you? What sort of information do they need? And I just want to give a shout out to those. I can't think of a better way for a corporation, a business of some sort, to get involved in the community than to allow all citizens to be able to get outside and play.
Yep, I agree. You can reach out to me personally. We are working on our website right now. We've had some hangups as far as timing goes, but once we get our website up and going, we will have it to where you can donate on the website. You can Venmo. You can do all of those things. We have a bank account already set up. So at this point, just reaching out to me personally would be the best way, and I can help line that up. And I'm happy to come and do a presentation and show you what we're doing. I have plans. I have renderings. I have everything you need to see. And as Nora stated, we are a 501c3, so it would be a tax-deductible donation.
So how do they get in touch with you? What's your email address?
Right now, you can contact me at my personal email address, which would be emilyriceherrin@gmail.com. And you can also Google our businesses, Common Ground. My personal contact information is on there as well.
And so Herrin is Herrin,
Yes.
Rice, RICE, and Emily, EMILY.
Yes.
So you got it. Emily Rice Herrin at
gmail.com.
Perfect. Emily, thank you.
Thank you.
It has been
thankful.
really amazing to talk to you and to feel your heart and to share your passion, because like you said, this is a tremendous need. And I hope in the very near future, we are going to see that playground in Cornelia with the trains and also to experience Demarest. It's incredible. And listen, thank you for listening to us. If you have a way to help Emily Herrin in her Price to Play 501c3, please reach out to her. And thank you for joining us.